Okay, this video is about how to make a moving sun that follows the character. It's like a sunshine array effect. So the first thing I'm going to show you is how to do a border to like basically stop the character from moving, but he can't move any further, or he can move back. So I'm talking about a wall collision. So the object player collides with a wall, and then so he doesn't get. This is how you do it, so he doesn't get stuck in the wall. So you go to the main. Go to the main. Go to the move tab. Drag over a speed horizontal and a speed vertical, and in the speed horizontal you have it set to self. Horizontal 0, and the same thing set up with the vertical self 0, and then vertical speed 0. So this will stop the character from moving any further. Make sure that the object wall is set to solid but not visible, and this will keep the character from not moving any further, but he won't get stuck in the wall either. Alright, so that's the first thing. The depth's at -200 for the object player. Everything else here is I've already talked about in the past with the jump and the right and left, so I'm not going to talk about that, and even the land. Alright, the next thing here is the object sun move. Alright, so let me show you what I'm talking about, then I will go into detail with the code. Alright, so play this. Alright, see how the sun's moving toward the character. It's moving by itself. And then you're able to, and then it's going to come back. The sun's going to come back. Well, maybe if I move, that's when it starts moving. See how it's moving with the character now? And you're able to jump. And the sun's following the character for the most part. That's what's happening here. And it has its own spinning cycle. And then when he gets to the end here, he's going to hit that red wall you can't see, and he's not going to be able to move any further, but he's not going to get stuck. So see how the sun has a spinning thing here? It spins on its own and is following the character. So that's what I'm going to show you here. And there's a lot of code for the sun, but there's a video that I watched, and I will give you the link. The guy's more, he goes in more detail with the code, and he explains it better than I will. But I will go through the code roughly and give you the GMX file. But you can also, I'll give you the link for the guy that did the video for how he did the sun and all that stuff, because he's more of a coder, and he can give you more detail about how and explain it better to you. Alright, so let me show you how to do that sun there. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is make this yellow sun image in the middle. So you could potentially make this visible, and you could have an image in the middle of the sun. Oh, it doesn't show it. I think it's because it's not. I think it's a depth here. Make it 999999. Oh, well, it doesn't work. Okay, that doesn't matter. The main thing here is that you gotta have an object, so that way the object will follow the characters. So beginning here, I had the sunburst, which is the code, and the code will not follow the character. The code is the sun. So I had to make an object so that way the sun would follow the character. But so, alright, so let me talk about the code for the sunburst, and then I will talk about the object. Alright, so you go to add event, do a create, then you go over to the control, bring over a coded sheet, and this is the first part of it. So you call it segment equals 10, parentheses, and you have the length equals 200, angle underscore intervals equals 360 slash segment, and rotations at 0 equals 0. So I think this is talking about, the segments is talking about how many triangles are going to equal the sun, and it's like a pizza pie. It spreads around. So it has 3 angles, and it looks like a triangle, and it's spread out in 10 segments, and the length of it's going to be 200. So that's how wide it's going to be, how wide the sun's going to be. So 10 segments equal, I guess, if you can think of a pizza, equals 10 equal segments there, and they're in shapes of like a triangle effect, and it has to have 10 of them in order for it to equal a full sun. I think if I do 5, let me see what happens when I do 5 on here and play it, see what happens here. See how the shape of it's different. So I guess in order to make it look like a full circle, you gotta have at least 10 segments here. Let me do 20. Let me just see what happens here when I do 20. Okay, so it may be better to do 20 because it looks more like a sun. So the triangles are more smaller and thinner in shape, so it looks more round. So if you do 10 segments, then it looks more triangular than round. So it may be better to do 20 or even 30. See how it's kind of you see a triangle pattern here for each segment, but it shows that sunburst line that a sun does. So that depends on you, what you want to make this. If you make it 30 or more, it makes the triangles a lot thinner, and it looks more roundish, I guess. So you can go up on the segments here. And this length here is, I guess, it just depends on how, I guess, big you want the sun to be. You see how the sun is smaller now? So if you want it more in the distance, then make it smaller. Make the length smaller here. And then you have to have 360 degrees here, so this, I guess, spins around 360 degrees. That's what it does. And then the rotation is 0. I'm not sure why it's 0, because it has to spin, so you think it would have to rotate, but that's at 0. Alright, so then then you make a step event, then you do another coded sheet. Okay, and then this talks about the rotation. So rotation plus equals 2. So if I do this at 0, I wonder what happens. It probably won't rotate at all, right? Yeah, it doesn't rotate. It just moves along with the character. If I make this 5 rotations, it spins faster. So it's up to you. So it originally was at 2, so I'm going to leave it at 2 rotations. Then in the draw event, this is where a lot of code's at right here. And so this is graded out. The guy talked about blend, add, not subtract. I just messed around with subtract. If you do subtract, it looks different. Looks like it inverts the color. So let me show you. As we subtract, it looks like that. You can't really see it on screen. It's really dark. It's like a lunar eclipse in a way, I guess. So just I just played around with that. Just grade it out and use the blend add. Then with this, I graded this out. This is what the guy had originally, was the mouse. So I grade out this var for the object sun, which I'll talk about in a minute, because that's what makes it follow the character. If you don't have the object sun in there, it won't follow the character. It'll throw an error. So if I do with the mouse event, then it's going to follow the mouse. See? Wherever the mouse goes, the sun follows. But I didn't like that, so I took out the mouse event, because that's what the guy talks about in the video. So I used the object. I made the sun follow the character pretty much, but it still has kind of life on its own, because it does move without the character moving. So I'll talk about that too. So basically, this is set up where it's, when the character moves, the sun's going to move along with the character, pretty much. If the character doesn't move, the sun will move, but it'll just move out of screen for the most part. And then, I'm trying to think. So all this other code, I'm not really sure what it does exactly, but like I said, if you watch the video that I'll give you the link for, the guy explains it more in detail about this information right here. I'm just trying to talk about the stuff that I kind of know. This other stuff right here, it talks about length dar underscore x and length dar underscore y. This basically, I believe, makes the sun rotate. And then you can change the color of the sun. So you could have two different colors. I have both yellow, so you could change this color down below to orange or whatever you want. And I'll show you what it looks like. So you could change it to orange and yellow, and then when you play it, it has a different flare effect. See, looks kind of like a beach ball. But I didn't care for how that looked, because it doesn't look like a sun to me. So I just went back and changed it to yellow. But if you make, like I showed you before, if you make the triangle smaller and then do the two different colors, then it may look different to you. It'll look more circular than being more like a triangle pattern. Then the guy used the draw triangle circle, and he used C black, and false. I'm not sure what, I guess that's the outline of the shape of the triangle. And then the blend mode here is normal. Alright. So that makes the blend's pretty much talking about it, so it doesn't look jaded or whatever. So the blend, it makes it look smooth looking. Alright. And that makes the sun rays and everything like that. Now, to make the sun follow the character, you need to make an object. And I made just a sun circle here, which you don't have to do. And then I made X and Y 48 and 51. So this is going to make the image right in the middle of the rays. So this image will be right in the middle of the coded rays that spin around. Then in the step event, I have the x equals object dot x plus length direct underscore x length parentheses place. So I've talked about this in the past, where if you want a shield around the character, you collect an item, you get a shield around the character, and it moves with the character. This is what I'm talking about here. So this is basically making the object follow the character. So the object's following the character, and then the code's added to the object, so that way it makes the sun flare effect happen, the blend mode happen. And then like I said, if you didn't have this object, then and you only have the code, then the code won't follow the character. It will throw an error. So you have to make an object for the code, so the object will follow the character. So this is what happens. So basically, it's following the character from left to right horizontally. Now you could potentially have it with Y in there too. And so basically what's going to happen is the sun's going to rotate around the character, go behind the mountains and all that stuff, the hills. But if you jump, then it looks weird because then the sun jumps with the character, which I didn't like. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. So see how the sun's kind of rotating up, and then it's going to go around. It's basically going to go underneath him and then go back up. See, and then but see how it's going down. Now if you jump, see how the sun goes up, and that's stupid. I don't like how that did that. I don't know why, but because the sun's attached to the character when he's moving, so no matter what he's doing, it's going to do the same thing. I didn't like that, so it's going to actually go back up here, but it's going slow the sun, so it'll eventually come up here. But see, I didn't like the Y, so that's why I graded the Y out, and it's only going to be the X. So when he does jump, the sun's not going to jump up because I don't have it attached to the Y. I only have it attached to the X. So X is horizontal, Y is up and down. See, there it is. But see how the sun jumps up because he's jumping. So that's why I took out the code for the Y, so that way it doesn't look weird when he's jumping. Because when he's jumping and you take out the Y, then the sun doesn't move. It doesn't jump. It doesn't go with him. It doesn't jump up with him. So that's why I graded out the Y. So it's up to you if you want to leave that in there or not. I would suggest if you're not going to jump, then you could probably have the Y in there, and then it's going to look different when the sun moves around the character, but it's just a different effect you can achieve. But I wouldn't do it if he's jumping, because then the sun's moving along with him. So just grade out the Y, and then that won't happen when he jumps. Alright, and I think I've explained everything here. Like I said, to get more detail with what I talked about in this video, I would definitely click on the link down below, and the guy explains it better on how he created the sun and all that stuff. He goes in more detail with it, shows you some images of the triangle, and he's just more of a coder, so he explains it better. But he didn't do what I did. And I added an object to the code of the sun, so that way the character would follow the sun. In his video, he's just using the mouse to move the sun. But like I said, he explains it more in detail about what all the code's all about. So I would watch this video if you want more of a detailed explanation. But I will add this GMX file to my YouTube video. You can download it and play around with it. Thanks for watching.